What's happening, guys? It's Matty Milligan, and today I'm going to talk to you what I've been up to for the last 6 months and how I recently started my own digital marketing and social media marketing agency. This is probably going to be a fairly long video where I'm just going to rant and talk about a lot of stuff that I've been up to recently. So I started working for an e-commerce company about 8 months ago, and it's been super awesome. I feel that in the last 8 months I've learned more than I have ever learned in all the previous time in my life and the other 30 years I've lived on the planet Earth. So it's been very beneficial. I've learned a lot about how to sell stuff online. I've learned a lot about how all these different platforms sort of interconnect and how they work together and how to really make the most out of everything. I've learned how to make an awesome looking website by myself. I figured out how to integrate all these different platforms into my own websites, and that's really what I've been up to. I mean, to be honest, I've really just been in monk mode for the last 6 months, and basically by that, it's basically been me waking up in the morning, doing my thing, working at my day job because I work from home with this company, and I work from home, I help people out, and then at night I basically just have a little bit of food, and then I just go into study mode until 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. most times. So that's basically what I've been up to for the last 6 months. And it's funny because all the skills and all the stuff that I've been doing all the last 5 years has really just come to this one point where I decided to just start my own marketing agency. And it's funny because I remember a couple of years ago when I was first starting out with this stuff, I really wanted to start my own online business and really get into the online game, and I had no clue whatsoever where to start. I mean, I just had so much anxiety. I didn't know how to speak on camera. I didn't really know how to edit video. I didn't know how to do any sort of digital graphics. I didn't know anything about websites and how to build your own and how to outsource little tasks. And it's been all these little micro skills that I've gained that have really given me the confidence over the last couple months to be like, all right, I could easily just do all these little tasks for people and have them pay me to do it for them. And basically, I don't have to necessarily do the work myself. I can outsource it to other people online and get them to do those tasks. In a lot of cases, I do want to do the work myself if I feel that it's necessary. And it's been a lot of things. Like, all the skills that I've gained, like, the first thing I guess was just figuring out how Facebook really works and figuring out how to maximize and really just leverage your any sort of Facebook business page, how to run ads with that page. And that's just one thing. And then the whole web design, web development, SEO or search engine optimization, if you're familiar with it, all the copywriting for websites, just building the websites and then bringing that together with your Facebook ads, that can be really powerful. And then for me, it was figuring out what are the best e-commerce platforms that are readily available and anyone can use in 2017. That was really just another thing that I really wanted to figure out. And at this point, I mean, I've found the platforms that I know I'm going to use for a long time moving forward, and I've tried basically all of the other ones. When I first started out, I was using WordPress, and it's really good, but the main downside of that is you do need a developer in a lot of cases. If you need something coded in a specific way, if you want a certain feature added, you're probably going to need to get a web developer to help you customize all the code in your website. And to make it pretty, you're going to need a website designer. And hiring those people in a lot of cases is pretty expensive, especially the coder. And one of the main downsides is that if you do hire someone like I have to build your website on WordPress, there's going to be some time where you're not going to necessarily see the work. It might be 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe in a couple months before you actually see what the website looks like, and you're just anxious that whole time waiting to see what they're going to build for you. And if it's simple, it should just take a few days, but if it's more complex like some of the websites that I've built, then you definitely need a web developer. And you're basically, for a couple of months in some cases, held hostage by these people because you pay them their money up front, maybe half up front like I have, or a third up front, and they just hold you hostage for a couple months basically. And they're not trying to do that, but it feels like that for you, the person that's hired them to do the work, because you don't really see those results at first. And it's very frustrating in a lot of cases, to be honest, but I mean, it's the same thing. And that was one of my main things. It's like I outsourced all these little tasks, and I realized how to actually become good at outsourcing the stuff that I don't want to do myself, just to save myself time. And I don't mind paying these people, because any time that I've outsourced to people, it's usually been good. And I don't expect much from a lot of these freelancers when I do outsource work to them. Like, whatever sort of task I give them is basically what you're going to get in return. Like, don't expect to be blown away. Don't expect to get something where you're like, oh my god, this is way above what I expected. It's going to be exactly what you expected, and maybe a little bit worse. And you're definitely going to need to get them to do revisions on any sort of jobs you did. So that's one thing. And all these other little skills I picked up, like basic things on using Canva and creating my own digital graphics, and figuring out how Instagram and Snapchat and Pinterest and Twitter and some of these other new social media platforms that are coming up, like Peach and Anchor. Just for me, figuring out how those work, it's been a lot, and it took me about 2 years at this point to figure everything out. And I started my own little business a couple years ago, basically just selling digital graphics online, where I started figuring out how Facebook ads worked, and I figured out how to get that website I was talking about before built, and I ran ads to the website, and it was doing okay. It was making anywhere from, I would say, about $50 to $100 a day, so that's pretty good money. But the thing is, I wasn't necessarily proud of that business, but all the learning that I got out of that was just so freaking good, because I figured out how to use Facebook ads, I figured out how to build a website, how to outsource tasks, how to do digital graphics, which I didn't do myself. I got someone else to do it for that, but I figured out how to make the ad creative myself with Canva. I figured out all these little other micro skills that I had. I figured out how to record video properly, how to edit video, how to use a Mac when I'd previously used PC for my whole life. And all those little skills that I got, now whenever people need stuff done, for me it's just unconscious. I'm like, oh yeah, like I can just do this really quickly if I need to, but for my own company, I'm basically just going to outsource that. So I built the website myself recently, and I've spent the last month building this website. So the name of my media company is Upward Spiral Media, and it's basically a company where it helps people, it helps like small business owners basically just optimize their websites and social media so that they can increase sales, which is, I'm sure, what every single business owner wants, right? And the main thing is that they just pay me anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000 per month, depending on the scope of the project and what they want and what they need, more so, because I don't want to sell these people anything that they don't need. I want to bring more value to them than they can actually bring to me. I want to give them exactly what they want and more, and I basically want to do this, as fast as possible without losing the quality of the work. And it's really just one thing where I feel that there's been a lot of little tasks, I guess, and it's because a couple of years ago I had no idea what I'm doing, but I look at myself now and I really feel that I've come so far, gaining all these little micro skills, I guess you could call them, that have just kind of compounded and made me realize that I can actually do this. And I've also started my own other little company. Like, it's basically just this clothing store, or this e-commerce store that sells clothing, and the tagline for the store is motivational apparel to live successfully, inspire greatness, and get shit done. And the name of that brand, by the way, is Day to Day Hustle, and you can probably see I'm wearing a Day to Day Hustle shirt right now. I actually just got this, and this is one of the first designs. I had one designer do this shirt, which says "Be Your Own Guru," and at first, finding a designer, it took me about, I think, 5 or 6 months. I tried first hiring someone in November, and then I hired someone else in January, and just the designs they had really didn't meet my expectations. And I have a certain pride where I don't want to give it to other people. I don't want to sell stuff to other people unless I'm using it myself, right? So the first few designs, I was like, yeah, these are okay, and I was paying anywhere from $10 to $200 per design, and they just weren't meeting my expectations. So I kept getting rid of those designers, and then finally I found one person that designed this shirt, and the shirt was pretty good, but the second and third ones were just really not up to my expectations. But the main thing is that a week ago I found this dude that is really awesome, and he's not too expensive, and the last couple of shirts he's given me have been really freaking awesome. And I've hired him to do 3 more, so I'm optimistic I can probably actually officially launch this store in a couple months. And one of the main things with this e-commerce store is that I'm not just going to launch it out to people blindly. I spent 6 months building this one Instagram account for Day-to-Day Hustle, really hardcore. I posted every single day for the last 6 months, so consistently. And I built up a following on that page of, at this point, I believe it's 12,700 people. So you can see the results. And honestly, the first 4 months, the growth was really big. In the last few months, I haven't posted as much daily as I have, just as I've been able to in the past, because I've just been so busy with other things and trying to figure out the best direction to really take this business. And at the same time, I'm sure I could have launched the business a lot faster with the designs I had, but they just didn't really meet my expectations, and I didn't want to sell it to anyone unless it was something that I was really proud to wear myself. So with that account, basically, that one Instagram account, it's just these cool pictures with these motivational quotes, and a lot of it is just reposting from a lot of other accounts, and then once in a while I'll just go on Canva and create 20 quick digital graphics with my favorite motivational quotes that I'm actually going to use for my shirts, and then I put them on there, and then I post those gradually. And if you've seen my personal Matty.Milligan Instagram profile, you've probably seen a lot of the Day-to-Day Hustle posts as it is. So that's been really one thing I've been up to. Like, building this Instagram account, I've learned so much about Instagram too, and I feel that it's really one of the future platforms. The main reason would be that about a year ago they changed their logo. So they had that original kind of camera logo, and then they changed it sort of into this, I guess, camera logo that was more so holographic. And after they did that, man, they just started rolling out all the features. Like, they brought in all the stories thing, which they ripped off Snapchat completely for. They started bringing in live video. They incorporated Boomerang into the stories. They have this new rewind feature. They have, within the stories, you can tag by location, you can tag by hashtag so that people can find you in the Explorer channel. So there's a lot of that stuff that's really freaking awesome. And this all started with me, by the way, from reading books. I started just obsessively reading about 5 or 6 years ago, and I just started reading anything. Like, I would read self-help books, I would just read books on success, books on motivation, any sort of business books, any sort of really self-help and self-development, self-improvement books. I would just find one book, and it's funny because you read one book, and in that book they'll suggest another one, and they just kind of keep linking together over time, and then you just develop this massive list of these books, and you never know what sort of the topics you're getting into. And it's funny because in 2015 I was really into psychology books, and then after that I'd kind of previously been into the self-help books, but then I try to be as self-aware as possible. So after the psychology ones, I'm like, okay, what am I going to get, what am I bad at, what can I improve upon? And I'm like, look, like, I do eventually want to start my own business, so I'm just going to start focusing on entrepreneurship and marketing. So I read a few entrepreneurship books. I remember one of the original ones I read was The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, where he basically just tells you how to launch a company in as inexpensive a way as possible and how to split test and all sorts of stuff. I would recommend totally reading that book if you're just getting started and you want to actually start your own business, because you're going to learn a lot from that book. And after that, I'd read a lot of books. I think my goal in 2015, I wanted to read 100 books, and I did read that by the end of the year. But one book that really changed my perception of everything was this book called Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. And this is really the book that started to get me on the Facebook and website thing that I was talking about earlier. Because in that book, he talks about, like, he basically gives you, I think, 9 to 10 steps on how to start your business, where it's, I think the first one is, like, registering your domain, making sure you get the .com domain. After that, it's getting someone to design you a cool logo. Then after that, it's getting someone to design you a website, or you can do it yourself. Like, he suggests paying someone $10,000, $15,000 to do so in the book. But if you're like me, you're very resourceful and you just go out and learn all the skills, and then something organically happens after that where you figure out that you can actually do it yourself. But if you suck at technology, I would probably just get someone to build a website for you if you don't have the time and effort, and you're not as I guess, like, technically savvy as someone like me is. And after that, I believe he goes into other things. So he's like, yeah, create all those, and then create like a Facebook fan page, which is different from your personal page because you can reach more people, and your personal account can only have up to 5,000 friends, I believe, and then your own business page can have unlimited friends. And with your business page, you can run Facebook ads, and that's going to be better because Facebook has changed a lot the last 2 or 3 years, where they don't want your posts to reach as many people organically. They want you to have to actually, like, pay to play in the game and for people to actually see all of your posts. So that's one thing as well. And then from there, he basically just talks about like reaching out to other people and creating content and just keep doing that until the end of time. So that's basically what I'm in the process of, because with Upward Spiral Media, I've just created the website and I've created an Instagram and just a Facebook account at this point, and I post 3 times a day, just tips on social media, and I have it set up as well so that when I post on Instagram, it just automatically feeds it to Facebook as well. So you're getting both channels at the same time, which does help automate the process. And I'll shoot another video at some point in the future about automation, because it's one thing where you'll realize at some point you can't do everything yourself. You're going to have to hire people, you're going to have to outsource stuff, you're going to have to learn how to delegate, because ultimately you don't want to be the employee with your own business. You want to be sort of like the architect in front of everything. Like you just want to kind of step back and be looking at everything and being like, okay, what's the next step? Okay, you do that, and then figure out what works, tweak it a little bit, improve the process. If someone's not working out, get someone else in place. If that person is overloaded, get someone to help them out, and basically just figure out all the pieces of the puzzle and then tell other people how to actually put the puzzle together, and you can just pay them. And obviously this just creates a lot of more freedom for you. It just saves you a lot of time. It really just automates the process. But I'll definitely shoot another video at some point about that, because I'm sure it would be beneficial, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are really strapped to their businesses and they don't really necessarily know how to automate their businesses. But it's been one thing too as well where I've had so many freaking business ideas, and a lot of them I haven't launched. And I started this one business last summer where I was selling these sunglasses, and it was doing pretty well with the Facebook ads. I mean, the money I was putting into ads and the cost of the product was lower than the profits I was making, so I was actually making a little bit of money. And I was just basically drop shipping from China to people. So these sunglasses, I would run ads on Facebook, people would go to my Shopify store, my e-commerce store, they would buy the product, and then I would ship it directly from China to them, and they would get it in about 2 or 3 weeks, which is not great, but I was fully transparent with the people. I would never lie up front with them. And to figure this out, I did actually take a course on how to figure out how to use Shopify, how to figure out what drop shipping is, how to integrate everything together. And for me at this point, it's just been beneficial, because right now I work for Shopify, right? So me taking that course has proven that, it's proven to myself, I guess, or proven to this company that I have the skills necessary to actually help people out. And I've learned so much about e-commerce, like I said before, working there the last 6 months. So that's been one thing where it's been very beneficial. But with that sunglasses business, right? Like, it was making a little bit of money, and then at some point I decided, okay, I want my own logo and brand on the sunglasses. So I went to the supplier, I'm like, hey, how much can I buy wholesale? And I was planning on just buying a bulk amount wholesale, shipping it to one of the Amazon Fulfillment by Amazon warehouses in Canada or the USA, I hadn't decided, and then basically just having them hold it, and that way when I get an order, they just ship it to the customer. And I really just thought in the customer's perspective, like, they would get it a lot faster, right? And then that way I could actually create better packaging for the product as well, and I could charge more to the customer in the end. Because at first I was sending people product and it didn't have my branding, it didn't have my logo on it, and eventually you want to have that, right? Like, you want to own your own brand. You don't want to consistently be selling other people's stuff, or you don't want to be doing affiliate marketing forever, although affiliate marketing from what I've seen is still extremely profitable. But I want to create my own little sunglasses brand. So I got that supplier, I negotiated a bulk amount, and he gave me this one amount where it was like if you order 5,000 units of this, I'll give you like a ridiculous discount, right? Because I was like, okay, how much for like 500, how much for 1,000 pieces? And I figured out some prices, but he's like, wait, if you buy 5,000, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I paid him on Alibaba, and then sure enough, a couple weeks later, I hadn't heard back from him, and then it's been a month, and I still haven't heard back, and he said the lead time is about 3 weeks, and I still haven't heard anything from him. And I'd paid this dude already in China, and yeah, basically nothing ended up happening, and I got screwed out of some money. But luckily, Alibaba is really good. They're a legitimate company, so you can just file a chargeback against the guy, and then it took me a little bit of time, but I eventually did get back all that money I invested. It was a very stressful time for me, especially since I was sort of transitioning between my full-time jobs at the time, because I'm not ready as of yet to become a full-time entrepreneur at this point. I still keep my side job just as sort of like a safety net, I guess, to keep me secure from any sort of debt or just, losing out, I guess, on anything. So that's really just been my main thing. And honestly, figuring out the last 6 months for me, working this full-time job and taking a lot of these online courses I've taken probably 25 the last few months, and some of these are ones that I buy directly from a lot of these internet markers. Some of them are ones where I'll watch them on Teachable, or I'll buy them on Teachable or on Udemy, and these could be anything. These could be just basic things on how to build an email list, how to optimize a website, how to build like a t-shirt business, and that course is really helpful for obviously the t-shirt business that I'm building right now, or the clothing business, and just a lot of other skills you gain along the way, right? Like, and it's been really good too, because all these skills I gained the last couple of years, it's really made me realize what I'm passionate about, that I'm really passionate about business, entrepreneurship. I'm really passionate about being successful. I'm really passionate about hustling really hard until 5 in the morning and then waking up a couple of hours later and then going back to work. And luckily I work from home now, so I get the freedom. I don't have to travel, which saves a lot of time. So it'll basically allows me to sacrifice sleep some nights and then actually just go out and work. So I've had a lot of mentors though as well from these courses that I've taken, because the main thing, I didn't know how I was going to start the social media agency, and one of the main courses that I took, there's this guy Tai Lopez, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, he's pretty popular in the social media world, but he has a course called Social Media Marketing, how to start your own social media marketing agency, and I took that course and it proved really valuable. There's a lot of great stuff in there. There's a lot of overlap of stuff that I'd already learned, but he basically talks about the same stuff that Gary Vaynerchuk talks about, like starting your own brand and buying your domain, getting your logo, building your website, doing all the cold calling, doing all the cold emails to people, running ads on Facebook to get your brand out there and to actually start generating business for your social media marketing company. And he breaks down all the platforms, how all they work. And for me, it was really just reinforcing what I already knew, because I already knew how the majority of them work, but he just gives a little overview on that. And I've taken a couple of other social media marketing classes. Like I took this one recently. There's these two dudes that have actually taken Tai Lopez's course, and what really got me into this, and they started showing their results, so I ended up taking their course, and that was really beneficial as well. Like I feel I learned slightly more in their course than I actually did in the Tai Lopez course. And this dude Tai Lopez, by the way, like he's really into reading like I am, and I started reading books like way before him, right? Like he's always, if you look at his social media, he's always showing the different books he's reading. He's like, oh, I'm reading Tools by Titans by Tim Ferriss, or oh cool, like now I'm reading Onward by Howard Schultz, like the CEO of Starbucks, and he's always giving these awesome books. But I'd already read a lot of books at the time, and if you've seen any of his stuff, he's really about like knowledge and reading books. And that's one thing too, you learn. I started reading like about 5 years ago, and all that knowledge that I've gained in the meantime, I mean, it's just been so freaking good, and it's just allowed me, given me all these like little skills like I was talking about before, and it kind of lets you become self-aware, I guess, of all your weak spots, and all those things. And in 2016, by the way, I set myself a goal to read 200 books, which I did end up doing with all the other stuff I was doing, whether it was like transitioning between 2 jobs. I had some stuff in my personal life too that was pretty serious with my family that I had to deal with in summer of 2016, which was very stressful on myself and my family. But ultimately we all got over it together, which is, I'm very happy about. And reading all those books, it's just been really beneficial. I mean, I've gotten a lot faster at reading, and in 2016, I would say my favorite books that I read that year were, Gary Vaynerchuk wrote a second book. It's called Ask Gary Vee, because he has this show where people just ask him questions and he just answers whatever it is about all of those questions. So that for me has been really good, right? Reading that one book, he gives like a really good overview of social media in 2016 and how it was done. And then after that, the other book that I really loved in 2016 was this book called Be Obsessed or Be Average by this dude, Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is a very like hardcore sales business guy. He also sells like real estate, but he's a very hardcore hustler as well. And I love the guy. Like his content is really good, and it really appeals to guys that are kind of, are a little bit edgy, I guess. And he's just brutally honest with a lot of his content, but he's really good at explaining the sales process, and he's built up a really big following as well. And he talks about the benefits of social media, right? Like using it to your advantage. In that book, he basically talks about how there's 3 kinds of people and how they use social media. So there's the first person that they don't care about social media, they hate it, they just don't get involved. So that's absolutely fine. I used to be one of those people, by the way, about 3 years ago before I started on this journey, and I totally understand where those people come from. Like, I used to not like social media, and then basically because they feel that a lot of people are the second people, which are those people that just spend all the time like scrolling through their feed, like liking all these videos, watching cat videos and watching extreme videos and all these sort of political videos, I guess, to just so they can stay in the loop. And that's cool, I guess, but it's just a time waster. And what he says is you want to be the third kind of person. The third kind of person is the type of person that goes out there and uses social media to their advantage. So they use it to build their own personal brand and actually sell products and make people become aware of them. They use it as a marketing tool to build awareness of who they are and sell their products. That's basically what I'm trying to do right now with my business, right? And that one tip for me, he talks a lot too in that book about how he built his brand, and he gives a lot of great strategies which anyone could use, right? He talks about how at one point, like, he talks about the benefit of social media and how it's so great because it's free. Like, other than paying for like Facebook ads or paying for Google ads or paying for Pinterest ads or Snapchat ads, whatever sort of ads you want to run, you can post as much as you want on these platforms, and there's really no rules. Like, you can post, he talks about at one point how he did 100 unique tweets in one day, which is freaking insane. And obviously he used a lot of automation tools like I do, but he basically just talks about how he did that. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that do the same thing, right? They're using these automation tools. But it's really, the main thing I learned out of the book is that you want to use social media to your advantage. You don't become a slave to it, but at the same time, you don't want to just completely ignore it because it really is the future. And I'm mad at myself because I saw that Twitter about 5 or 6 years ago was going to be huge, but I was one of those people where I didn't like social media, so I ignored it, and then my bad, because I'm sure I could have become a lot more popular and actually had a business at this point if I had actually figured out how the platform worked. And at this point I know how all the platform works, and at this point I don't feel that Twitter's that great. Like, they bought Vine and killed Vine, and and Periscope is slowly dying, and it was pretty good as a live video channel, but you know, it's slowly gotten worse. But that was the main thing. And then after all of that, I really wanted to figure out, like, okay, how can I optimize my website? Like, in 2017, like, I want to start doing like an official business, you know, like I want to register a business. I want to actually figure out like how to become an expert in my niche, how to optimize websites. So I started following this one dude, and don't get me wrong, like I love Shopify. Like, I feel it's the best e-commerce platform out there, but it's more so a website. And I started learning about these things called funnels. And there's this guy out there named Russell Brunson, and man, I don't know, like, I thought Gary Vaynerchuk was awesome. I thought Grant Cardone was awesome, but man, like, Russell Brunson is just, man, I don't know, his content for me just really speaks to someone like me. Like, he's really good at storytelling, and he really gives you, his books give you like the play-by-play on how to do that. And I have a couple of his books here, so I'm going to give you a couple of examples of stuff. So his first book, it's basically, I'll just show you his two books. He just came out with his second one, but his first book, it's like .com secrets. So this book is really good. It's basically just the underground playbook for growing your company online. So he really just gives a lot about the stuff, and he breaks down like what a sales funnel is, and he talks about like all the different kinds of sales funnels. But one of the main things that he talks about is the attractive character. And the attractive character is someone who is sort of like the face of the brand, right? And they're not the perfect person, right? And any sort of like movement you've ever seen, any sort of business or political movement that you've seen, it's always had the attractive character at the center, right? Any sort of like cult, I guess, has had that attractive character at the front of it, but it's really just the face of the brand, right? And that person definitely has their flaws, but you know, they're very good at telling stories, and they're the face of the brand. So, and you know, people kind of see them as the face of the brand, and you know, that's why they kind of follow that person, and then ultimately, you know, they might eventually buy the products or services from that business. And as you can see, like, I'm trying to become the attractive character, right? Like, I'm trying to become an attractive character, and it's going to take me a long time, right? Like, I plan on shooting a lot of these videos because I feel that my public speaking isn't as great as it used to be. I went to Toastmasters for about 6 months in 2016 and learned a lot about public speaking, and I haven't really had as much of a chance to practice the last 6 months or so. But ultimately, by someone like me shooting videos like this every day, you're learning your voice. And you have to figure out what the voice is of your attractive character in order to get people to follow you, in order to sell stuff. And the main benefit is that every time you shoot a video, like, you get a little bit better, right? Like, you can watch that video, and I'm sure I'm going to watch this video after and be like, okay, there was a lot of mollifiers I used. I used a lot of like, okay, like, so little words like that you can tweak. So that's really why you want to become the attractive character. You really want to shoot videos consistently. And at this point, this is one of my first videos that I've shot in a long time, because like I mentioned earlier, I've basically just been in monk mode studying for the last long time. And I'm a very introverted person as it is. I don't really go out of my way to talk to a lot of people in the real world, which I really should. And it's more so just me. Like, I'm sure a lot of people have those same feelings where they're very introverted and they're very nervous about talking to other people, but it's really just a matter of getting outside of your comfort zone. And for me, it's going to be very uncomfortable at some points, especially when I plan on shooting live video on Facebook and Instagram and taking that, and then I'm going to learn how to do webinars, because in .com Secrets, he talks about the sales funnel. There's just so many different sales funnels. There's like a product sales funnel, there's a webinar sales funnel, there's a fishbowl funnel, there's all sorts of other funnels. There's just too many to even talk about, and it's different because websites are sort of evolving, right? I'm sure in 5 or 6 years, everyone's going to be talking about the funnels and how they're different from websites. A website is very static, but a funnel is different. It's more so you're sending people to your website, but it's more so like you're trying to sell one product at a time. So you send them to, your first page, which is really good, like a bridge page generally. Then you send them to the second page where they can just enter their email or actually buy your product. And then from there, you can go to upsells and cross-sells and downsells. But after that point, you already have their contact information. So they're basically your customer. So you're just paying up front to acquire that one customer, and then you don't have to worry about that. And that's one of the main things that I've really learned from this guy, Russell Brunson. It's like, amateurs really focus on the front end of making money. They focus on just selling that one product up front and selling that, whereas all the money is really meant to be made in the back end, right? Like with my shirts, it's like I'm gonna sell, like if you see the way it works, it's like I'm gonna send people to my website. They're gonna try and I'm gonna get them to buy one shirt, or I'll probably have a bridge page. Then I'll try and get them to buy one shirt. Then I'll try to upsell them like another shirt with a different saying, or maybe something else, right? Like maybe I'll try and sell them a sweatshirt, or I'll try and sell them a hat or something else, right? It's like, or eventually maybe I can create a product bundle. And I'm brainstorming this right now, so I'm getting super exciting, by the way, talking about how I'm gonna figure out a strategy for this. But it's really just creating that sales funnel, right? And there's the offline sales funnel as well, where you kind of do all your cold calling, you get all your leads, you call them, and then, a lot of the people don't end up buying, but then the people that actually go to the end of the funnel and buy, like those are the people that buy your high ticket products, and those are ultimately the customers that you do want to have long term. So, and it's funny because I've read .com Secrets a couple of times at this point. I read it in January, and then I read it again in March, and then I didn't realize at the time, but Russell came out with this second book, which is just like freaking blown my mind. And this book, man, like I couldn't sleep some nights when I was reading it. Like he basically just talks about like how to build a mass movement, how to get people to follow you, like how to create a cause, how to really, he gives more information as well on the charismatic leader / attractive character. He talks about value stacking too, where when you sell people the stuff, you want to kind of show them, break down point by point the value of each little thing, and then kind of show them the value, and then finally when you reveal the price, everything is consistent, right? So it's like, if something's valued at like, you kind of build up the value. It's like, you're going to get this awesome book, you're going to get the audio book, you're going to get, my free, I don't know, like how-to guide on how to do something. Then I'm going to give you like a USB card, which will have even more cool videos and content on it and stuff. So, you build that, and then you kind of give everything like a price-based value. And let's say, all that stuff was valued at like $1,000, and at the end of it you go like, but I'm not going to charge you $1,000. I'm just going to charge you right now one easy payment of $97 and something like that, right? And then that way, you kind of build the value in the customer's mind, you kind of build up all that perceived value, and then when you reveal the price at the end, it's easier for you to kind of convert them to the customer, because they can see, all the value they get, and they're like, okay, this is only $97, this is like $1,000 plus worth of content or of stuff that I'm getting in return. Like it's 10 to 1 in value. Like it's very easy to do that. And one of the main things too that he talks about in the book is like something called the Epiphany Bridge, and the Epiphany Bridge is just sort of that moment, I guess, that emotional moment when you realize that, you know, you want to start your own business. And for me, to be honest, this was probably a couple of years ago when I was at my old job, and I had this boss at the time that was not necessarily the nicest person to me and my coworkers. And at one point, he was basically just threatening to fire me and telling me that I would never work in this town again, which I thought at the time was pretty threatening, but now thinking back on it, it's actually really freaking funny. So he would basically like threaten me with this. So for me, it was like I kind of had some issues with my family where my family was sick at the time, and then I was so stressed at that point. Like I have this dude, this boss that's like threatening to fire me. I have someone in my family that's really sick, and I'm just in this low point. And that was the point when I'm like, look, like if I were to lose my job, like I'd basically be screwed. Like I'd either just need to go out and get another job and spend all that time for that. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want anyone to ever have that much power over me that they can just threaten to fire me. So that's the point for me where I kind of fell into this really low place where I was like sad and depressed and figuring out what I wanted to do. And for me, it was that epiphany moment where I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to start my own business. I'm going to figure out how to be an entrepreneur. I've been telling this myself for the last 4 or 5 years, like I want to start a business, but I don't know how, but ultimately I just want to kind of start out there. So that for me was when I really had that epiphany moment. And he gives you the scripts in this book. Like I'm sure other people use the scripts and he describes it a lot better than the way I just did. But again, over time, I'm sure I'll become better at developing my epiphany bridge story and being able to actually give it to people long term. So that's really what I've learned. And his books are really awesome. Like these books are free and you just need to pay the shipping, which is, I think it's like $13 to ship to Canada. So that's one thing as well. And he talks a lot too about like how to not get so technical. Like anyone selling stuff, they get all techie and they talk about all these like technical terms where you just want to sort of give people, explain to them in very simple words, and then explain to them, be like, you know, it's sort of like this. So, you know, like, hey, you know, the people that don't know, like, how social media works, you can kind of, you know, give them something that's similar, so that they can actually understand how it works, and don't use all these, like, very technical words that only you might understand. You just have to keep it as simple as possible. And he gives a lot of other information, too, like how to build an email list. I mean, he's really big about that, like how you basically just want to kind of create a distribution channel, and email people say that it sucks, but it's really kind of still very powerful at this point, right? Because if someone really follows you and they like you and, you know, they're a fan of your content, I mean, they're just going to keep following you, right? Like, and, you know, they'll probably most likely just keep buying your stuff in any case. So, you know, these have really been my main mentors. So that's really all, I mean, I just want to talk about today. It's really just been creating that. And for my own social media business, it's going to be just me getting better and better, shooting these videos, creating better content for people. Ultimately, the main challenge I'm going to have is getting my first client. So to get my first client, I'm just going to have to go out there and basically just do a bunch of stuff for free for people, right? Like, that's going to be my main thing. I'm going to help people, like, build their websites, not pay me anything, and get the results for them, and then use those people as case studies and testimonials that I can put for my website, and that I can add into videos, and then show it to other people that I actually want to charge. And again, this isn't some like slimy salesman stuff. Like, you know, it's like, look, like I got this person the results. Like, do you want those results? Okay, cool. Like, if you want those results, you have to pay me, which is pretty standard, right? But when you can actually prove to those people that you've done it in the past, it really makes your life a lot easier. Whereas right now, like, I don't have any sort of social proof showing people that how awesome I have, other than the fact that if they look at the content on my social media channels and you know, and they look at a couple of other things, they may not know how great I am at helping them and how good I am at online marketing, e-commerce, and social media. But long term, I mean, I'm sure that'll be fine. So, you know, I'm basically just going to spend, like, you know, maybe even, I don't know, anywhere from 6 months to a year helping people out for free, helping them, like, build their businesses. I might even start a course as well where I help people, like, start their own businesses, people that know nothing about entrepreneurship. What I might do is just create a course, like, get, like, 2 or 3 people, train them for free on how to start their own online business, and then use them as case studies on how, you know, and then sell a course based on that. Because, I mean, that's something that I really would love to do. Like, I would like to ultimately run my own courses and teach people how to become entrepreneurs. And I don't have any sort of credentials for this, right? Like I don't have an MBA and stuff, but I have education in the School of Hard Knocks. I have education in actually trying stuff out, not being some professor that's basically never actually done any of the stuff and just kind of teaches it. Like I actually practice what I preach, right? Like all the tips that I give people on how to improve their businesses online and offline, I actually have tried all that stuff out myself, and I know what works and I know what doesn't. And everything is constantly changing when it comes to marketing, because customers are always becoming more sophisticated because they keep seeing the same ads over and over and over again. And the more and more they see the same ad and a technique on how they're being sold, they become more aware of it, and the less it works. And one of the benefits of that is that you can, once people become smart to something, you can just stop doing it, but then 2 or 3 years later, you can always try out that technique again. But that's really what I'm going to be doing, right? Like for this social media stuff, I'm just going to be creating content. And I was thinking too originally about creating multiple YouTube videos and social media for all of my businesses, right? Like for Day-to-Day Hustle, creating my own YouTube channel where I just have these motivational videos. And then for Upward Spiral Media, just giving social media tips just on there. But I ultimately decided just to keep everything on the Matty Milligan channel, and then just keep everything in one place. And that way I can work on my own personal brand at the same time, build up my own brand, and then ultimately I can get paid for public speaking and basically doing consultation with people, and then working on their social media, building up my t-shirt and clothing business as it is. So it's going to be a lot of work, man. Like it's going to take a lot of effort for me, and then I'll eventually, once I have built the business to a certain level, I'll hire an assistant or a manager that can really just help me automate the business, and someone I can pay and that I really trust. And eventually what I want to do, because I know how everything works, like I'll show them how everything works, and then hopefully, you know, they'll stay on board with me. And if they want to start their own thing, like, you know, that's fine with me. I mean, if they want to just work for me for a while and figure out how a social media business works and how marketing works and how entrepreneurship works, like I'll be happy to mentor them, right? Like, and teach them everything that I know. And if they stay with me, even better. I mean, I can pay them a decent salary and just have them to do a lot of the stuff and manage the business, and then I can just kind of get them to do everything while I focus on building other businesses. So that's really just all I wanted to talk about today. So, and you know, one of the main things too is that, like, you know, this is long term, right? This is something that I really want to build for the long term. Like Upward Spiral Media, I had a couple of other business names I wanted created, but I mean, for me it's really just growing that brand name and having that, and it'll really just help me build my own personal brand, like I mentioned before. But it's going to take a lot of work. I'm sure there'll be a lot of sleepless nights. Like there'll be a lot of videos and a lot of blogs and stuff. And really quickly, by the way, too, I want to talk about this. Like anytime you're creating content, you don't want to do everything at once. Like you don't want to be doing Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Snapchat, Facebook live videos, Instagram live videos, and then writing a blog. Like you can't do all of those things. I know this because I've tried it. I tried to write a blog post every day. I tried to shoot a vlog every day for YouTube in about a year ago, and I got so freaking burnt out, man. It's hard because I'm doing everything myself, so I'm writing the blog post, I'm editing it, making sure there's errors, and there was always typos, there was always grammatical errors, there was always spelling errors, and then the videos as well. It was me shooting all the videos myself, figuring out how to shoot videos on this camera, and then ultimately how to edit the videos on Final Cut Pro. So, and again, like those skills have actually become beneficial at this point, but I wouldn't recommend anyone else do that unless they would just want to stress them out. But if you want to do it to learn how to edit video or how to write great content, then by means, go out and do that. Like I would do that if you do want to learn this stuff. But try not to do everything yourself. You can hire people that can write blog posts for you for virtually nothing. So I would really recommend doing that. So I really hope that this has been beneficial for you, and I'm sure that my videos in the future will be a lot better, and I can actually do a lot more how-to videos and cool vlog videos and stuff. But this is really just the first video that I wanted to get out there and just kind of start sharing my story on how I started everything, and you know what my plans are moving forward. So you can probably see as well that I have this ridiculous beard. This is going to be shaved probably today or tomorrow. I'm kind of tired of it. Like I thought it was cool at first, but it's been something too where now that I work from home, like I don't have to shave every day because I'm not meeting face to face with people, and everyone that I work with is kind of like, yeah, whatever, like it's cool, and everyone that I meet in the work world, in the real world when I go out is like, yeah, it's a really freaking cool beard. But the main thing is that, like, you know, when I meet with clients for my business, like I want to look professional, right? Like I want to look sharp. Like I'm not going to go in what I'm wearing right now necessarily. Like I might, you know, wear my own day-to-day hustle shirt, which would be fine, but I'm not going to wear like jean shorts that I'm wearing right now. And, you know, I actually have to get like a haircut, and I can't have this ridiculous beard because it just looks unprofessional. So this is probably the last video. Maybe you'll see one more video with this beard in it, but this beard has got to go, man. Like, it's sweet, and you know, it's really good. And I mean, it's something, you know, where you, if you are thinking deeply and you want to get inspired, I mean, I'll find myself sometimes just stroking the beard very slowly and figuring out, you know, what my next step is and figuring out a great idea, and it's cool for that. But I mean, I could just scratch my chin and it would be the same thing anyways, right? Like, the beard doesn't make you smart, like, you make yourself smart. You have to be your own guru, just like my shirt says, right? You have to, you know, do everything yourself, and you know, ultimately you want to kind of become your own hero in the story. So that's what I'm trying to do. This is really just the beginning and the first video of everything, so I really hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you really did like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna make a lot of videos moving forward on all sorts of stuff. If you want to know how to do something, I recommend just reaching out to me on social media. You can comment below on this video, ask me a quick question, and I can answer you in that, or I can create a whole video which would bring more value to you and other people out there. If you want to know how anything works, definitely, like, if you want to know how anything works, just ask me and I can create some sort of content, or I can just answer you directly, because there's already tons of people that are reaching out to me on my day-to-day hustle Instagram and basically asking me questions virtually every day, and I'm just answering them directly. So what I'm going to do too is, because I have a lot of great questions that I've saved, is I'm going to take a lot of those questions and just create videos based on those things, and hopefully I can bring a lot of value to other people. So subscribe to this channel right now. Check out mattymilligan.com, check out daytodayhustle.com, which will be launching soon. Check out upwardspiralmedia.com as well, which is my media company. So if you are someone out there that already actually owns a business, you can go into that website, just enter your email information. I'll meet with you for free and basically give you an absolutely free business audit and look over your website, all your social media accounts, and basically show you what's working, give you some tips on where you can improve. And then I can basically, you know, show you how I can help you if you want to actually, you know, hire me to make your business better, because I know a lot about this stuff. So that's all I got to say for now. So yeah, this is Matty Milligan. Peace.